Twilla Amin, your host of Copy That. Welcome to a brand new episode. I am here with my girl, Gleana.
Hey.
Hey. And we're sipping on peppermint tea because we like to keep things chill.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, man. I am glad you came, Glee.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to call you Glee. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Literally everyone.
I forget to call you Gleana, but Glee.
No,
Okay.
that's good.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know, I feel like I'm introducing one of my favorite people. And I can't wait to talk about your journey. I met you as not even a PA. You came in to shadow one week.
Right. I literally was so fresh out of college. I had just finished grad school, undergrad, I think it was 3 months.
Uh-huh.
I literally was we met when I was 22 years old.
Yeah. Fresh out of school.
Fresh out of school.
And we were just like, this young lady is going to come and shadow us for a week in the production office. And I think we knew that you were interested in art and props. And but that was good. So right now you're a costumer.
Right.
We'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely were production, art, props. You came and you were part of, you got to shadow. What was first, how did you even know to contact us to shadow a project? And then what was it, or what at that time did you think you were going to be doing in this industry?
So at that time, I honestly had no idea because the film program I did at my college, it was just a general film program. So I know for schools out here, they have more focus a producer's program or a director's program. But for me, it was general. So it's I learned basic things, but I didn't know exactly which department I wanted to be in. So I just wanted to get my foot in the door, get in the industry, and just figure it out as I was going. So it actually kind of just all fell into place, and I got a connection. My godmother, she knew someone who worked in the industry, and she knew I went to school for that and had just graduated. Mm-hmm. So she kind of was well, let me contact my friend and then see. So she contacted her friend who contacted her friend, which some kind of way ended up to you guys calling me and was hey, do you want to come for a week? And I was oh, okay, yeah. So I was I don't know how this happened, but it happened so fast. So I got on the plane and was I'm just going to go.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That speaks to connections and networking, and even it's funny because we'll get parents who'll be you should call Oprah, or those different things, but just the fact that your godmother knew what you were interested in, right, and was able to use her connect to connect with somebody else.
Right.
I'm so big on that. It's so important to just be a connector and a facilitator for people. You never know where that goes.
Right.
Because you left a lasting impression on that week. You were just she literally was just shadowing, and she was I can help wherever. We probably gave you some paperwork. I don't know, but you also you just had a certain demeanor, and you were excited to be on set, and you were professional. And I think that spoke volumes. And that was just one week interaction that we had with you.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I guess you made the decision to move to LA.
Right, because at that time, I was up in the air about if I was going to move and if I did, when. Mm-hmm. So when I came for that week, once I went back home, I was
yeah.
Once I went back home, I was okay, I need to move, because everyone was you just have to be here, because things happen so fast here. It's really the night before, people will text you, call you hey, can you work tomorrow?
Yeah.
So it's you can't do that from another state.
Right.
So I was just all right, I'm going to move in 2 months. So I went back in March, and then I moved here in May. Mm-hmm. So it actually has been 4 years since I moved already. I know.
And it was perfect timing because at the time, the person who was our production coordinator on that show, she had just started a new show. And I know she brought you in as a day player. And then I was starting a new show.
Right.
And I was able to ultimately bring you in as a PA with that group.
Right.
And I don't know, I kind of feel for you, and you have peers who started in this industry recently, do you feel like your into the industry was a little bit faster or like a little bit more stable? What would you say?
I definitely feel like it was a little bit faster. Like after knowing everything I know now from starting, I can see it was faster, but just because it happened faster and just because of my age, I feel like sometimes people wouldn't take me as seriously, or they would look down on me, or they kind of would be like jealous or have some kind of spite towards me. But it's like, I paid my dues. I did the hard work. Like I was a PA for like a year and a half. And it's also like I started over from departments. Like I started in production, then went to costume. So it's like
I'm doing the work.
I have done the work. And it's like, you can't just look at someone's age, because it's like I also have coworkers and colleagues who are costumers who are even younger than me, and it's like they have put in the work too. So that kind of mindset just needs to be like done with, but obviously it's not. But I don't know. I know some people it takes longer, but you just have to make those connections and network. And for me, sometimes it is a little bit hard because I might be shy and I don't want to talk to people, but I just have to work on that and just make those connections, because honestly, the biggest percentage of jobs comes from networking. You're not going to find these jobs online, because a lot of times people will be like, how did you find that job? And it's like, because I knew somebody who was working on it, because you're not going to find that online.
Yeah. Like that's the true meaning of it's all in who you know and who you talk to. But I want to even go further back, because you're from Louisiana, right? Or you were living there?
I was living there, but I'm originally from the Bay Area, like Northern California.
Yeah.
So I was born in San Jose, California, and I grew up in that area until around like 15 years old.
Okay.
And then I moved to Louisiana and then stayed there through college and then moved here.
Okay.
But it's like, I've been into the arts and in the media and all that, because when I was 13, I actually was in this program. It was like through my church. It was called Teens for Christ, but it was like legit. We were like at a media center, and it was like, we would rotate positions.
Yeah.
So I would work the cameras.
Yep.
I would like be on the switching board and do the graphics and like all that. So it's like, in reality, I've been in this industry for over 10 years already.
And like, that's a real skill. I'm glad you said that, because I used to work in a church with a serious media department. And I feel like we would definitely take teens under our wing. And these teens would be like on the cameras. Like you said, they get trained on the switchers. So they might be a technical director for a Sunday service. And this is like a live service that's being live streamed. So, or like special big events. And that's a real skill that these young people have, and they're going out into the world. And I'm big on like, you can do the work where you are. So that I feel like you were kind of like wherever you were, like that was a skill set that taught you things, technical things, but like how to be on set, even though it was like a church setting. That's a real skill. Yeah. So you definitely have been in this industry for a long time. Like, and you did, so you were in Teens for Christ. Was that the program you were telling me about? Like you were?
Yeah, that was the program. So it wasn't like specifically at the church. It was like a media center. We would record live shows, and they would go like on the local TV station. Because back then YouTube wasn't as popular.
Right.
So, but it would be like, oh, go on channel 9 or channel 5, and it was there.
Yeah.
But it was like, we were over there hustling the cameras and all that, because it's like, this is live. You got to get it together. This is no joke.
Wow.
So it was like, that's how I started. And then obviously I was like still in high school and stuff. So it's kind of like on and off until I got to college, but I was always into art and all that. When I started college, I was actually an art major first with a concentration in photography, because I was like heavily into photography in high school. But then I was like, this is not going to work. So I kind of switched it up, changed, but it's still the arts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So like, so you've been out here 4 years, but you've been at it for a while.
Right.
Yeah. No, I totally support that. I often say like, I've always known I wanted to be in this industry somehow. So like, I've always like, even if it was like theater at a young age, or like, I've always somehow been behind the scenes or got on sets. If it was like our local news or our local channel 33, like somehow.
I did that too. Yeah. When I was in college, I actually had a job, and I was working at the local news station part-time. So it was like, I was working the cameras there and the teleprompter. And like, even when I got like a little more into it, I was like editing some of the clips that were the playback. And I did that for like a year. So
Yeah.
it's like I literally have always been doing this and
Yeah.
always known I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So like even when I was in college, I had like internships on movies and stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's where I kind of started when I was like, maybe I want to do props because I started as an art intern because
Okay.
I was getting like credit for school.
Uh-huh.
But then the props intern they had quit. So they had me like going back and forth between both departments.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, oh, props is kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
But then after like getting out here and in the industry, I was like, maybe I don't want to do that.
It was cool for that moment.
Right, it was cool, but that was like a low budget independent
Yeah.
film. No, I'm not doing that big time.
I love that. Like that is so cool. I love that. Again, like starting, you can start wherever. You don't have to be in this industry. But like you said, if you're trying to actually get a job and work, then it's better to be out here,
Right.
because we will call you last minute.
Yeah.
And we, like, and if you can't take it, cool. But, we're not doing pre-employment for like months ahead of time. It doesn't often work that way. So now, like, so you're in LA, you're a PA. So several things I want to, like, what was your experience as a PA on, I know you did a lot of television shows, let's talk through like some good experience, some bad experience, like what are your highlights, and what tips may you have for people as a PA?
Okay.
As a lot, I know.
I feel like so much has happened, but then it's like, when bad things happen, you're like, I'm just going to push that to the back of my brain because I just need to keep moving forward. So I'm going to try to think of some things, but it's like, just the dumbest stuff has happened. And it's like, come on now, we're all adults here. Good things for sure is like meeting people, just being in the industry as a whole. And like, at the end of the day, it's fun. It's like, no one gets to do this all the time. And it's like, I'm working on TV shows and it's like, I'm in the office half the time or running errands, but at the end of the day, I work on a TV show. So it's cool. Pros, like I said, is meeting people, making those connections, just working on a TV show in general. Doing what you love. Like it might, in that moment, it may not have been exactly what I wanted to do or what I thought I may have wanted to do, but I had my foot in the door and I was one step closer. And it's like, at that age, you're just so young and it's like, just soak up whatever you can as a sponge. And it honestly, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like if you're starting over, just soak it up. Like learn everything. But some cons, I would say, is definitely like people's egos and attitudes. And it's just like, you don't have to treat people like that.
Right.
You don't have to treat people like that. But just if you have a good attitude about it and like, just let it go.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't.
I think that's an important part because there are egos and it could be like from PA to production manager to anybody. Like if there's egos, anybody's going to get the ego. Like, especially if it's coming from a way higher up and you just kind of have to deal with those personalities. You can't like always pop off at people when you want to. You might not be able to control your face. Yeah. Let me tell y'all.
That's me. That's me.
And we had so many moments. Like I think the show that we first worked on together, when the way our office was set up is like Glee's desk was right outside of my office. So there would be like so many moments, and especially as being like the only Black women in these settings, and just like look at each other and then like just the biggest side eye and then just keep going.
Right. Like literally, I just remember like leaning my chair back and like beelining to you. Like, I know you just heard that. Like, come on.
It was like the greatest moments because you're not always in a space where you can connect with somebody so easy. So that the fact that we were just like, really?
Yeah.
There were like moments like that was great. And then, like you deal with it and you push through. And like you said, there's a time and a place for everything.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like you might have like, maybe I'm biased because we worked on some cool stuff together, but like, you've worked with like some legendary people. Like, what is that experience coming like? Because this is part of your dream, and like to see it, like you said, you might not be where you want to be in that moment, but to have like these experiences, like I'm just gonna put it out there, like we worked on the show with the wonderful, the great Loretta Devine, and I feel like there were so many moments working with her that I was just like, this is Loretta Devine.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, it's like the fangirling, I keep that inside. But on the outside, I'm like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, we're all people.
Right.
Of course, I'm going to treat you with respect. But on the inside, I'm like, is this who I think it is? Like, am I really, like, just interacting with this person? It's just wild.
Yeah.
But obviously, being in the game for a little bit longer, I feel like I was more used to it.
Yeah.
But also not at the same time, because it's just like, wait, literally, that was my childhood, watching you on TV.
Right.
So what?
Right.
It is very rewarding to just see, like, these people are kind in person, because that is not always the case.
Yeah.
So I've definitely worked with some people where I'm like, okay.
Right.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I absolutely feel that. So I think it got to a point where, you know, like, you're very good in producing and production and you have it. But I think for you, you knew, like, this isn't where I see my life. Like, working in production management, you know, you're an office PA. Like you said, you were doing runs. There was a lot of paperwork. And when I say, like, she has it, like, she had the attention to detail. I could trust her with certain paperwork and I know it would be done properly. And, like, honestly, like, start training you up to be the next level of that type of work. But what I so appreciate, you were able to be like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Literally, I was like,
which is so big, because people do get stuck in positions. And because of your age, I didn't want you to get, like, all of a sudden, like I wasted so many years. So, like, I'm always going to support that. Like, if you're like, Twills, no, this ain't it. But what was it for you that you knew, like, hey, I want to try costumes? Like, what was that for you?
I definitely will say the importance of not wanting to get stuck, because I realized at that moment, like, yes, I have started and I also have built this to the point where it's like I could move to the next position. But then I was like, I don't want to get stuck in this loop and then really start over once I'm already, like, way like up. So I was like, let me just start over now if I can, because yes, this time has passed, but not that much time has passed.
Right.
So for me, it was just like learning and absorbing all the departments on set. So I was just thinking, like, what would I like to do and, like, actually really enjoy? Because production was cool, but a lot of times it was like on the computer and behind the desk, and I feel like I've had like 1,000 jobs already. So I already had like a whole bunch of desk jobs and like on the computer when I was in college, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore, because it's like I had already done that.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we're working on TV shows, but then at the end of the day, I don't want to be answering phones and on the computer all day long. So I want to be outside and just like mingling with people, get some sunshine. So just making connections on the second show that we worked on, I was like, okay, I think I want to go to costumes, because at the end of the day, I do like clothes, and it's like I'm interested in this, and I might as well learn if I can. And if I can get in, might as well get in and try it and see how it goes and what happens. So that's what I decided. So I used those connections I had and I started over as a costumes PA. And as I was learning and doing it, it was like, of course, there were things that I didn't know that you really had to do. And I was like, okay, this is different, but I can work with it. And I was like, I actually really like this. And there's so many little different positions in costumes where you can kind of like work your way around. So I was like, okay, this is good to know. Like, I won't always have to be in the office, or maybe I won't always have to be on set. Like, you can switch it up depending on like what you're working on. So I was like, let's do it.
That's really cool. And I think that's another big thing, because like you said, working in the production office, you get to see so many. We're not in a silo. Like, we touch every department. I've said that multiple times on this podcast, because you're the face, and so many people are going to ask and call, and production is the wheel, like the spoke, and everybody reaches out from there. So like, you obviously were able to see the other departments and kind of like get a general idea of what they do and how they move, and use your connections. But you wouldn't have, like, if you weren't a good PA, those connections would have meant nothing, because they would have been like, like, there were several times I know, like, departments would be like, can you send Glee?
I would get down there and be like, why did I have to come for this?
But then like people, because your reputation, people wanted to have you help on something, and then ultimately that was like you're in to do something else cool.
Yeah.
So
I
like,
agree with that.
yeah, I think like if you're unsure about what you want to do, starting as a office PA, even a set PA is a good.
That's a good
way.
starting point too.
Yeah.
I've never been a set PA, but I know a lot of people, and I know customers too who were set PAs first, and then they got into costumes like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Set PAs be working.
they do be working. It's like office PAs be driving, but set PAs be working. They be working hard. I'd be like, how are you still standing?
Right. Your feet don't hurt.
Literally though.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Oh man. So now you're costumer, and I know like you said like your like you had to start as a PA, but now I know that you're in the union. Talk to me a little bit about what your journey was in costuming, and like what is your most proud moment in that world.
The journey? The journey was not that great,
Oh,
honestly.
no. Oh no.
Like
Let's
I
talk about
said,
it.
like literally someone could be going through hell behind closed doors, but still have a smile on their face, and you would just never know.
Right.
Like, first of all, most of this time is like going through COVID and all the COVID protocols and all that stuff. And it's just like, why is this happening? So it's like that on top of all the other craziness. But it was just like I said, people's egos, and just like, just because you know someone, it doesn't mean that you have a close-knit relationship with them. Just because you've worked with them before, you're automatically assuming and maybe thinking someone said this and someone said that. It's just like a lot of drama and rumors. And it's like some kind of way I was always getting tied into things that I had nothing to do with.
Oh man.
So
not my sweet Glee, y'all. I will fight. Y'all think I'm playing?
I literally should have called you and been like, come get these people, because I literally just met them like yesterday, and they're already like talking. Like, I was so over it, and I was honestly, it was to the point where I was ready to be done.
Oh wow.
With costumes and maybe the industry as a whole, because I was like, these people are so childish. Like these grown people, twice my age. Yeah. We're not in high school.
Right.
Like, what is going on? But it's just like things turned around, and I'm trying to figure out how to say this without saying it, but things turned around, and it was like I got with a new team, and it was just so much better. Good. Yeah. And it's like working with them, I was like, okay, maybe this is a good thing. Like this will be a good thing. Yeah. And they ended up helping me get my days. Yes. And I was like, okay, great, perfect.
Which means getting days puts you can qualify for the union.
So right, because you have to work 30 days on a union project. It's a whole thing. Right. So once I got my days, I was super excited, and then obviously did the paperwork, paid the dues and all that. So I'm in there.
Yes. I want to say, because like you and I both know Trinity. One of the things that she said when she was on was like, the days are like too long for you to like be going through like drama and not getting along.
Seriously though, because it's like we're at work more than we're at home. I'm with you 12 to 15 hours a day. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Like, and the fact that you were able to get into the new group and then realize it's like, I love this job. It's just the people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. 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 So you were working on season 2 of Grand Crew. Right. And what were you doing there?
So, okay, right. That was your other part of the question. So I was actually the on-set costumer for the main cast, which is like principal set costumer. Okay. So I was with them for the whole season, and there's always going to be ups and downs to whatever project you're working on. But overall, it was great. Like, I loved working with them. And
well, that looks like a fun cast. Like.
Yeah, for sure. It's like they're all comedians. So it's like they're constantly cracking jokes. And it's like, can I just eat my food, please?
That's really cool. And then on-set costumer, that's more so making sure that their looks are consistent.
Right, like continuity. And then just checking them. Like, there's a difference between standing right there in front of them and seeing them in person versus seeing them on the screen, because there's, even though you're looking right at them, you might not see something that you see on camera. So it's like also checking on monitors to make sure that they look good. And then, like I said, continuity, and just making sure the costume designer's vision is coming to life, because he or she may not be on set all the time. Right. So it's like, that's what my job is. Okay. To just check on them and make sure they're good. And like, usually I have like a on-set costumer, like a partner. So we will like split the cast members in half, and like I will have the same 3 main cast members the whole season, and then like whatever day players or guest cast.
Okay.
We will like split those up.
That sounds like, so one, either you're the person who can watch a TV show and be like, she didn't have that ring on.
I hate it so much. I'm like, I can't even watch TV without being like, what are these sweat stains? Like, he's literally sitting on the couch. It's so bad, but it's just like, it's like natural, but not natural, because it's just like, I know it could be better, but then they also don't have to be perfect all the time. That's something I've had to learn, because otherwise it might be a little bit unrealistic. Right. Depending on what the scene is and what's going on. Yeah. So it's like, if something's a little scrunched up, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be photo perfect. Right. Yeah. I'm really proud of you. That sounds like really fun work. Yeah. What would you say, because you've been at this for a while, like if somebody came to you asking for tips getting into the industry, what would you suggest?
I definitely would suggest, like I said, making connections and just seeing, is there anyone who works in this industry that you can connect with and kind of just have them be your mentor or something, because it's really hard not having that person. Or like, I'm so grateful like I had you, because honestly, if I didn't have you, I feel like I wouldn't be like where I am right now. But yeah, honestly, that, and just like have a good attitude, and that will take you really far. And don't burn any bridges, because you never know who you will see again. Like, I see people and I'm like, oh, didn't I work with you last week on the other show I was day playing on? Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm full time over here. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. You literally just never know. Yeah. Meanwhile, you could have burned the whole bridge. Somebody looked at you weird and exactly. You know, like, yeah, we're not bringing her on. Right. Yeah. And you also have to be willing to put in work, and there might be things you don't want to do. Like I said, like as far as being a PA, running errands, going to the grocery store and buying snacks, like those are the types of things like they don't teach you in college. When I became an office PA, I was like, oh, I have to go to the grocery store? Like, I hate going to the grocery store, but now I love it. Right. I can just spend other people's money on snacks. So. Right. And fully stocked. Can I say my team spoiled me? And then when I go to other places, I'd be like, what do you mean you don't have my chips? Those jalapeno chips. Girl, you know it. Those jalapeno chips. Oh my gosh. I had some this week. No, that's really good. And is there anything like that you've seen people do that you could be like, maybe you shouldn't do that? Like that stands out? I'm trying to think. Honestly, as far as like this day and age and technology, yes, you can take some pictures and videos, but like don't post everything. Like also for me, as far as like cast members, I'm not one to just be like, oh, can we take this picture? Can we take this picture? Maybe down the line if you've established a relationship, but it's like, we're all here to work. Yeah. And also that can be very distracting to them, because it's like, if you're just coming in midway through the season, today on set, it might be emotional scenes for the day. So they might have their headphones on. They're trying to like get in a sad mood, and you're like, oh, hey, can we take a picture? And it's like, they're not even talking to anyone until they get on set. Right. So it's like, you just have to like be very mindful of the setting and your surroundings, because you just never know what's going on. Like, yeah. That is a very big tip there, because I know that I've actually seen PAs who are sweet as pie, who like want to take pictures with everyone and then post everything, sometimes not realizing that the network will have like a social media like criteria, like things you can and can't post. Sometimes the shows haven't been announced yet. Right. So it's like, you can't post like, I'm loving working on this show with X, Y, and Z. And it's like, that's not even out yet. Now you just put out something you weren't supposed to say. Right. Or like you said, like, you know, people are coming to work. They're not necessarily there just to take pictures. Again, there's a time and a place for everything. And if you can absolutely respect that, like that is a big one. Right. Yeah. And like, sometimes it makes you come across, I mean, and you don't want to, but you come across like immature or unprofessional, you know, like, or just like very green, very new, and like not there for the same reasons. Right. I feel like when I was that green, I kind of was just like, I'm just going to stand back here and watch and see like what's going on and what everyone's doing, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be a pro at this. So
Right.
I'm just not going to be over here like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it's just like, everyone's looking at you like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And I will also say, like, I think what I realized about you when you first came on is, one, that you were more shy into yourself until you got to know the girl.
Literally everyone ever.
And then also, but like one thing I really appreciated was that you were a hard worker. And I have to emphasize this because I feel like I've come across like PAs who've been maybe PAs for a while and just kind of jaded with it, or they don't want to be a PA. They might want to be a writer, you know, like they don't see the life in this, but they come across as lazy. And it's kind of like, I can't even promote you or suggest you. Like, if anybody's looking for a writer's PA, I can't, like, you might be the greatest writer's PA ever, but because the attitude that you put forth in this office, I can't say, I can't recommend you for this position.
Right.
Whereas, like, for you, when anybody might have been looking for like a costume PA or something, be like, hey, this person didn't work in costumes, but she's an amazing PA, and I know she'll be great for your department. And that goes a lot, you know, like, so your behavior and your attitude, I'll say attitude because we're all grown people, your attitude and just like your general outlook made it so it's like everybody wants you to win, that sort of thing. And that goes a long way. And I hope people learn that and can bring that in there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because I feel like there's even been times where you have texted me like, hey, do you know any PAs? And it's like, sorry, no, because I am not suggesting these people just for you to turn around and be like, who is this person you just sent me? Like, I'm sorry, I don't know anyone.
Yeah. No, like, I'm definitely I know that if I text you, you'll be like, you'll send me someone good. And so, yeah, I would definitely be like, now, Glee. I don't know who this was.
Yeah. Oh, remember that time? There was someone, and I was like, oh.
We all tried, though.
Right.
We tried. But you also gave a disclaimer on that. So
Right.
So like, I feel like this is inside talk. If you're trying to get into this industry, like, these are things that we consider. These are things that we talk about, that you should know. Like, how should I present myself as a PA? And I mean, like, I think pandemic might have almost made being a PA a little bit more, I won't say easier, but it's a little different. The task is a little different now. Like, my PAs that I've been working with, depending on the show, like, they usually order groceries for the office and have them
That's
delivered.
what I was going to say. I feel like I can speak on both, because I was a PA before the pandemic, during and like after, low key.
Yeah.
So it's like, the grocery pickup, I was like, this is the best thing that ever happened. But also, it's just like pros and cons, because then it's like just all the PPE and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole nother PPE and PPE testing.
Yeah.
We were on some very strict shows, so like that made it a lot crazy. But then there was also, I think you did like script distribution is not the same.
Oh my God, con. That was a con, because literally being in the office till 1 o'clock in the morning, like printing scripts, and it's like you would have to print like 100, 120 copies. But also, it's a good thing now that it's more green, saving the earth, like everything, because all that paper, when you're printing like 5 scripts a week and you're working on a show that's 20 episodes, just think about the amount of paper that is.
And there's 100 and something crew members that's getting it. And when she says 5 scripts a week, if you don't know, it's like you'll come out, like especially on the TV show, you'll come out with the first approved draft that you're going to use for the table read copy. And then there's going to be revisions on that and revisions on that.
Right.
Maybe another set of revisions, and then a locked copy. And then there might be like some pages that change the day of. So you're like doing all these.
I used to be running to the printer like, oh my gosh.
Don't let the printer stop working.
There has been times where it's like 11 o'clock at night and I was like the only one in the office, and I'm like, I have to figure out how to fix this printer or else I'm never going to go home.
Right. Like, and it really does feel like that. And even like way before that, I know we did it some of our shows, but like years before that,
Script delivery.
script delivery.
I still had to do a couple of
You
those.
still I
but
know,
like,
yeah,
depending on who it was,
Depending
but
on
I
who,
had to do a
yeah.
couple of those.
yeah. Script delivery is not fun.
It's really not.
So much.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So it changed. The description or like some of the things that you do change a bit, but they're all the same. It's like at the end of the day, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glee, thank you so much for coming on this show.
No problem.
While we were talking, Naya, our producer, was taking some notes for some like key takeaways that we've learned from you today. Hold on. This thing said I have to update, Naya. Oh, that's so good. I got it. Okay. So key takeaway number 1, age doesn't matter. Just put in the work.
Right.
Like what you said, like, you know, you might have started off younger, but you've definitely put in like the work, the consistent work that allowed you to be promoted to be where you are. And even the opposite, like you said, if you're starting over and it doesn't matter what age you are, but you still just got to put in that work. Yeah. Key takeaway number 2, even before you move to Los Angeles, you can gain valuable experience locally. Local news channels, church, different programs, etc.
Even depending on where you're living, even some production, because it's like I was in Louisiana, so
yeah,
there's an industry out there, and it's like I worked on a couple projects.
Yeah.
And it was like there was even an opportunity when I decided to move. Someone called me because I had applied to be a PA, and they were like, "Hey, we want to have you." And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm actually moving. But like that hurt me so hard to decline that because I was like, what am I supposed to do now? But so glad I declined and just came out here.
Came out here and did it. Yeah.
Who knows where I'll be now?
And like you said, there's places where industry exists. Like I know like in Eastern North Carolina for a while, there was a big industry in Georgia, New York, Chicago. There's different states that you wouldn't necessarily think of as filming. Yeah. So you can get started where you are. Make connections. Takeaway number 3, make connections and find a mentor if you can. And I'm always harp on that. And if you follow my podcast, you know, I'm always like, listen to this podcast. You might not have an actual mentor, but you have people who are sharing their journeys with you. So like, just listen to this and these can be, you know, mentors here and like work to establish actual connections. So when you get out here, you'll be ready to go. Takeaway number 4, having a good attitude will take you far. Don't burn bridges because you never know who you'll work with again. That speaks for itself.
Yeah, for sure.
And finally, takeaway number 5, be mindful of how you carry yourself on set. Taking pictures can make you seem green and unprofessional and may go against policy.
Right, because 9 times out of 10, you're signing something in your deal memo anyway.
Yeah. Y'all, people don't read those deal memos.
They really don't. I'd be like, okay, this is important. Let me read.
Yeah. So when you start a job, like when you get hired on as crew, there's a lot of paperwork that you're going to have to do. And it feels just like a bunch of sign here, sign here, sign here. But you're like, you have a deal memo, which tells you your rate, some basic rules of the set. And a lot of times, like you're signing an NDA as well. And so you make sure you read that, like, so you know what you're able to do and what you're getting paid and what the rules are.
Right.
So Glee, where can people find you on Instagram if they want to like follow you and see your costume journey?
Well, see, that's the problem. Like, I don't really post that much, but I do post a little bit. I'm kind of
just
like,
enough.
Yeah, just enough. But my Instagram is Glee, like GLEE_Nicole.
At Glee_Nicole.
Yes.
All right. And of course, you can follow me at Twilla Amin. We'll be doing more of these podcasts. We took a break, but now we're back. And I can't wait for y'all to meet all my wonderful, wonderful guests. Again, thank you, Glee.
No problem.
I've enjoyed
Thanks
connecting with
me.
you.
Yes.
Until next time.